Assalamualaikum. Eid Mubarak.
Mama, which story are we going to be reading today?
Today we are going to be reading an Islamic story, and it is called The Travels of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. So do you know who has narrated this story?
Yes, it's narrated by Saniyasnain Khan.
That's great. So let's start reading. Long, long ago, about 4,000 years ago, in the land of Iraq, a child was born, whose name was Ibrahim alayhi salam. He was gracious, tender-hearted and pure in faith. Allah was pleased with him and made him his best friend. When Ibrahim alayhi salam grew up, he became a great prophet and preached the truth and Allah's message in his country. Later he traveled to Syria, Palestine and Egypt. When a beautiful son was born to his wife Hajra, Ibrahim alayhi salam was ordered by Allah to travel towards what we now know as Makkah, along with his wife and the little child, whose name was Ismail alayhi salam. They all traveled for a long time till they reached a lonely, barren valley near two small hills called Safa and Marwa. The Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam asked his wife to stay near one of the hills along with the baby Ismail alayhi salam and started to go away. His wife protested.
Why are you leaving us alone here? Are you leaving us here to die?
But Ibrahim alayhi salam replied,
My Lord has commanded me to do this.
Then Hajra, breathing a sigh of relief, said,
If Allah has ordered you to do so, then He will not let us die.
After a while, little Ismail began to cry because he was thirsty, but there was not a single drop of water to drink. Hajra ran helplessly from one hill to another, but there was no water, nor was there any human being nearby to give her any. As the baby was crying desperately with thirst and the mother was running from one hill to another, Allah caused a miracle to take place. A spring gushed forth beneath the feet of Ismail alayhi salam. When Hajra saw this from a distance, she shouted,
Zamzam, Zamzam.
the sound made by rushing water in the Babylonian language. Hajra came running and gave some fresh spring water to the thirsty child to drink, and so his life was saved. The spring became famous later on and was called by the name of Sanzan. Ismail alayhi salam and his mother began to live in the valley, and because of the Zamzam spring, more people gradually came to settle there, slowly building up a small town which was later called Makkah. From time to time, Ibrahim alayhi salam would visit Makkah to meet his family, especially to see his young Ismail growing up in the beautiful surroundings of nature, in a new town in a lovely valley surrounded by hills, away from the crowded cities where the people at that time were mostly idol worshippers. The end. So, what is the moral of the story?
I think that the moral of the story is that believers who, despite their hardships, follow the path of Allah will find that Allah will remain with them and help them in miraculous ways, just as the child Ismail alayhi salam was saved by the miracle of the Zamzam spring.
Wonderful. Now say your bedtime prayers.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم باسمك أموت وأحيا.
Ameen. Good night, everybody. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Good night.